Here in Scotland, and most of the world, salmon farming can be most challenging in the summer months. High temperatures at sea bring blooms of harmful jellyfish, zooplankton, and sea lice that are hard for sea farmers to fight. To combat this, one Scottish farm is trying something new. So today, we'll be joining Mowi for this historic trial that could bring salmon farming here to new heights. We're here in Loch Etive. It's an inland loch in the Scottish Highlands with brackish water, basically a mix of freshwater and seawater. Traditionally, salmon farmers raise fish in freshwater hatcheries through to smolts. It's a developmental age where the fish start to adapt to seawater. However, moving these 100-gram smolts straight to sea pens means the fish need to grow at sea for at least a year to reach harvest size. Obviously, this includes those difficult summer months. What Mowi are attempting is to avoid those summer months by reducing their salmon's time at sea. Let's look at how. Since Loch Etive is a brackish loch, it sees less impact from summer seawater issues, while still being an ideal place for young salmon to grow. Smolts are brought from a land-based hatchery to these brackish pens, where they'll be raised as post-smolts for 5 to 6 months. They will grow to around 1 kilo through the summer until the worst of the ocean blooms have passed. And that brings us to today, in late September. We're transferring these post-smolts out to some new sea pens off the Isle of Muck, where they'll spend the next 9 months growing to market size. However, there are 2.5 million fish to move through tight locks and under low bridges out to sea. It's not easy. Salmon are moved on wellboats, like the one I'm on today, the Inter-Viking. This vessel's hold is equipped with large tanks and oxygenators to carry approximately 70,000 fish at once. The farmers use crowding nets to bring the fish to the surface by the Inter-Viking siphon. It functions by gently pressuring the wells. Once on board, we head for the Isle of Muck. It's about a 6-hour journey. One of the hardest parts here logistically is the Connell Bridge. It's an old train bridge that was built long before ships like this needed to access the loch. We have to wait for the tide to reach its lowest point, as well as folding down some of the ship's tallest equipment. It's close, but it fits. Through the bridge, it's an easy boat out to the Isle of Muck. Brand new 160-meter pens await these post-smolts. Fun fact, Muck is Gaelic for pig, since the island is somewhat shaped like a pig, and because there's lots of cetaceans in these waters, which ancient Scots called sea pigs. As the sun begins to set, we siphon out all the post-smolts into their new home at sea. By waiting until these salmon reached about 1 kilo, these fish should be much more resilient in the ocean, especially after acclimating to pens in Loch Etive beforehand. On top of that, they'll be ready to harvest before the height of next summer, avoiding the worst of the season's biological problems. In just one day, we've moved over 170,000 fish over 3 boats, and millions more await the journey over the next week. After the loch is emptied, it will stay empty for about a month. It's a technique called fallowing, which helps reduce the environmental impact of the farm, as well as keeping sea lice levels low in the loch. And I mean really low. Just 1 month of fallowing twice a year here has collapsed the loch's sea lice population, which used to be concerningly high in years past when this farm was for trout and they never fallowed. Now, I only joined the crew for a day, but I'll be checking in on the Isle of Muck regularly to see how these salmon are growing through the winter. This specific post-smolt brackish pen idea is pretty new, and environmental modeling suggests that it could make a huge impact. It's surprising how measures like this can be so powerful. It's one of the things I enjoy most about the aquaculture space. Everything can be innovated upon.